Hello, it's Andrew here. Let's get you in control over your photos. The first thing we're doing is taking control over how light or dark our photo is. That is the exposure. Now the exposure overview video goes over this in a lot more detail, but here is a simple technique just to get you started. First, get your camera off auto mode. We'll go to P mode or program mode, so we don't have to worry about apertures or shutter speeds at this stage. However, we might need to set the ISO sensitivity though. If you have an Olympus, you can leave the ISO on auto, which is recommended, but the rest of us will have to set the ISO ourselves. If you are photographing a brightly lit subject, like in full sun or hazy sun, set the ISO low, like 100 or 200. If it is heavily overcast or you're in shade, set your ISO around 400. If you're inside where the light is low, you may want to set it to 800 or even higher. My photo will be in shade, and it is heavily overcast today as well, so I'm setting ISO 800. The first photo I'm going to take is of my boys' black toys, and they're going to be set on a dark background. My camera is set on program mode. What do you know, it looks too light. The camera was fooled by all that black. We want black to look black, but should show detail and texture. What I'm doing now is dialing in some exposure compensation to tell the camera to make it darker. In P mode I don't care whether it is changing the aperture or the shutter speed to do this, but that is what it is doing. It might even be doing both. I've dialed in negative 1.7 stops of exposure compensation. By the way, negative 1 stop is half as much exposure. Negative 2 stops is 1/4 as much exposure. Negative 3 stops is 1/8 as much exposure, and so on. Okay, that looks about right now. If you are new at this, it might take a few goes to get it right, but that's okay. Now my next photo is going to be of a light-coloured teddy bear, and to make it worse, she is set against a bright sky, so she is backlit. Camera on P with no compensation. It looks terrible. The bear looks terribly dark. It should look almost white. Let's dial in some exposure compensation. I'll put in +2 stops, which is 4 times as much exposure. That's much better. That's how it should look. The sky behind is blown out, but that doesn't matter because I want the bear to look right. Let's recap. We put it in program mode to enable the exposure compensation, and we've set our ISO sensitivity according to the lighting conditions. If the photo comes out too light, dial in negative exposure compensation. If the photo turns out too dark, dial in positive exposure compensation. Okay, now go out and try it yourself on your own camera. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.